What's up, family? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, as always, Drew Johnson. If you're new to the show, make sure you guys are following us on all socials at the platform DR. You can find myself at Real News 102. Now, guys, we're in week 10. We're in week 10 in the fall season, and I've been consistent. I have with some solid guests on. I've had about 20 guests on or more. You know what I mean? If you haven't checked those episodes out, make sure you guys are checking those latest episodes out on our channel. For tonight, we got a special and fun episode for you guys. I'm going to give you guys just a quick preview as we transition into the NIL age, or the name, image, and likeness, especially with high school athletes now allowed to benefit through endorsements, autographs, and more. I got my guy, Dan LaForest, coming on to kick things off for us here in a second to give us everything we need to know about NIL and more. Talking with Dan, he's the number one NIL coach in the state right now, you know what I mean? And his rising consulting company and team over at Influencer Counsel are looking to take things to the next level. So I'm definitely glad to have him on. He might be a recurring guest, we're going to rock out tonight and have some fun for sure. But next up, we'll transition. We'll have a special guest on, man, a big time 2026 Florida commit and DB Devin Jackson. He's now over at the First Academy. This kid has everything you want in a high-level DB, man. Just glad to have him on and hear from him and get into his commitment to the Gators. And we'll wrap things up, last but not least. But, we got a true rising gem and a monster off the edge for Apokpa High School, Kingston Shaw, man, 2026 defensive end. I was introduced to this kid by Dan, after he dominated our prep red zone camp this offseason. I'm just excited to hear and hear from him and watch his development. He's now a 3-star prospect, so we'll talk to him here. He'll talk some ball and share a little bit about his recruitment as well. So, all right, man, let's go ahead and kick it off. Let's kick things off strong. I mentioned NIL here, and it's no secret, man, about the passion, the knowledge, and love for the student athlete that this guy, Dan LaForest, have. Let's have him on and get some game. Here's my guy. What's up, brother?
Drew.
My
man.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime we get to talk
recruiting. You see, I'm ready to jump on it.
Yeah, talk recruiting, talk NIL, get the most out of these student athletes, and that's what NIL really is.
So like I said, man, we've been talking here for some time. Over our Influencer Counsel is really making some waves right now with some big signings on the horizon for sure. But let's start it off the right way, brother. Let's let the people know a little bit about your background and what kind of inspired you to get into this business and, collaborate with a company focused on helping student athletes navigate through their NIL opportunities.
Yeah, I think a lot of it starts with the fact of what I do during my day job. I've been a wealth advisor and financial planner for 17 years with an independent firm here in Central Florida. And, it's my passion for the game really comes from my days when I played, high school ball at Apokpa, then my opportunity to go on and play as a scholarship athlete at East Tennessee State. I'm repping the brand tonight. But, I just think this whole world has changed drastically in college athletics. And, people need to have a sound voice and a voice of reason when they understand what it all means. And that's something that, I've been doing for over a decade, working with you and working with Blue and so many great personalities around the state of Florida. But, this was an opportunity for me to marry my passion with my profession. And I'm excited to be in this space because there's so much that needs to be uncovered.
Now, brother, we're seeing athletes kind of becoming their own brands now, from high school stars to college standouts. Let me ask you, Dan, how are things kind of different maybe from 10 years ago as you talked about being in the game? And I guess what kind of advice do you have for rising stars on how to build and protect their brand?
I think the first thing I would to answer the first part of your question is what has changed. I think what has changed is the ability to capitalize on what your name becomes. I think the hardest thing for a lot of people, including myself, is, when you become a public figure, what does that mean? And perception is a strong thing. How people perceive you. That's even harder. I'm 54 years old. I mean, I think it's harder for a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old to understand the recruiting process and what it's become. I mean, it used to be a very, very quiet thing where you had colleges come in, you had head coaches come in and talk to you and your family, and then you made a decision on where you felt the most comfortable going to go to school and to play the game that you love. It's so much more now. It's a circus. It's media now, really hyping it up. I mean, we didn't have social media back in the day. Social media changed the game for everybody.
All right.
During the recruiting process. And, I just think there's so much there that young people have to understand that they are celebrity and they are a brand of their own. And what we're doing with the Influencer Council is helping our clients understand what their brand actually is and how to get the most out of it.
Yeah, man, the landscape's definitely changing. Even with the national letter of intent changing, it's kind of, it's definitely changing. With brand is an important thing that kids need to understand, kind of get a business etiquette early on working with some of these companies. But brother, let me ask you, your team over at Influencer Council plays a big role in guiding athletes and influencers for sure. But can you just talk about the team you put together really quick and what makes them the right group to help student athletes navigate NIL?
Yeah, I think if you understand what NIL is really, what it's made up of, it's legal, it's financial and taxation, it's brand, and it's philanthropy. So when you start talking about the team, I think from the legal standpoint, it starts with Ronnie Bittman, who is contract litigator. He has represented, professional athletes. He represents celebrities in contract litigation. So who better to start this thing off with somebody who understands contracts, right? You move into the financial and taxation as a financial planner. That's what I do with people looking to retire. That's what I do with retirees. It's the same process with young people understanding what money really can do for them, not only today, but long term, understanding what taxes look like. The taxes are changing. That you got a lot of people. This is over a $3 billion industry, right? And people are worried about federal taxes. How about state? In the NFL and professional athletes, these guys pay what's called a jock tax, which means if I play for the Bucks, okay, I'm taxed differently playing my home games here in the state of Florida, where we only have federal tax.
Right.
But if I play the Jets, I'm paying for that game. And when does the clock start? And am I paying state of New York tax? Or actually, in this case, the Jets, they all play in Jersey. So am I paying New Jersey tax? Am I paying East Rutherford municipal taxes? And a lot of that's calculated. So the jock tax is real. And really the profession that gets hammered the most are professional golfers. So, from a financial planning is understanding what monies I'm getting, how much I can actually spend. And then you get into the whole thing, like how much money does a student athlete really need?
Yeah, right. I mean, come on now. Come on, brother. They ain't paying no bills, man.
Yeah, this isn't when you go to college, man, it's like going into the Army. Your time is accounted for. I don't think a lot of these guys understand what that regiment looks like.
Yeah.
Now you transition to the branding, right? Is everybody wants an NIL deal, but you have 350 followers on social media. You don't post anything about you. I mean, who are you outside of playing a particular sport? Who are you? What do you like? What do you like to do in your downtime? What are some of the things you're passionate about? That is what develops a brand. How do you utilize social media? How do you put yourself out there? How do you connect with a fan base? How do you carry yourself in front of the camera? There's so much there. And then you have the philanthropy piece. Anybody who is in the public eye has an obligation to give back. How do you do that? And what are some of the ways that you can tie that in with your brand? So, we've got some great people. Courtney Shaw is our director of communications and our brand ambassador. She's the brand counsel. And then you have the philanthropy part. And we still haven't officially announced who we have, but that partnership will be announced here probably.
Y'all just wait on that.
We have a strong team. And then, in order to conduct NIL, Florida state law says you must be a registered athlete agent. And
okay.
That is something that both Ronnie and myself are registered with the state of Florida as athlete agents. So, we feel like we have a strong team and that we have a lot of.
That's the power team right there, right? Powerful attorney, a guy who's been doing finances his entire career, and a former Miss Florida, right, with communications. That's the power team. And he's holding back the philanthropy piece, y'all. That's the gem he's got for y'all. But NIL is so fresh, man. There's for sure stuff people still don't know. Even the little things, right? Where kids can't even utilize their school's name, right? They can't do anything on campus. It's the small things, right? That kids might slip up and do something. But if you got a power team like this, it can kind of mitigate those mistakes. But let me ask you, Dan, man, at the core of what you do is helping student athletes secure their financial futures. And we talked about $3 billion industry in the high school level. How can NIL?
No, the college level. The college level.
I don't even know a number at the high school level, right? I couldn't put a cap on it right now.
I think you have to take a hard look at what high school NIL really is. I mean, Florida wasn't the first one to develop it. They were kind of late to the party. 37 state to approve it. I think what it is, it's that ability to train yourself for what it could be at the college level.
Yes. Okay. Kind of prep you.
Yeah. I mean, under FHSA guidelines, basically it's saying that you have to do it on your own. And, are there agents out there? Are there marketing people? Yes, but you have to have a contract. It's got to be a quid pro quo situation where you have a contract with a vendor, and it has to be something you're doing to receive money or services.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a business owner. There aren't a lot of high school athletes that I'm going to say, I want you to market my service or my product.
Right.
But there are some, and we're starting to see, again, those small amounts of those high level recruited players that are receiving some NIL deals. Absolutely.
That's what I want to ask you about. And I hope you guys that are watching, man, are taking notes, right? For sure, the student athletes. Dan's going to keep giving us some game for sure. But for the kids like a Vernell Brown, right? I just seen him just put out something with a car company, or for the top level athlete, maybe the 5 to 1%. For these kids, you know what I mean? Is what, if handled properly, is there an opportunity to kind of set student athletes up for long-term financial stability at the high school level?
At the high school level, probably not. I think with the high school level, again, it's playing into who these guys are being recruited by a particular school.
For sure.
Especially, you have a kid like Trey, right? Vernell Brown III.
Right.
He is a 5-star wide receiver who is going to see immediate playing time.
Man, he can get some bucks right now, man. I'm telling you.
I think that a company is saying, you know what, we're going to establish that relationship early.
Yeah.
We want to be able to be in his camp when he does become SEC Freshman of the Year.
That's the process, though, helping them set up financial, especially for kids that's coming from the back, from the hood, right? Coming from the neighborhood, right? A lot of them kids are eating oodles and noodles, but for a kid to get that opportunity, that's setting them up off the rip for financial education, for one.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. But again, you see what Trey's done. He has had a lot of exposure. His father is an NFLPA agent, works with Anthony Richardson. Sure. He has exposure. That family has had exposure. He's a third generation kid or player to go to the University of Florida. But if I am just a kid at local high school, you can participate too.
Yeah.
Because NIL, again, isn't necessarily monetary. I've told a few kids, go, where do you get your haircut? I go down to Joe's. Okay, we'll go down to Joe's. How much is your haircut? $40. How many haircuts you get a year? I get one a month. You can basically do a deal for $480 by getting free haircuts. That's
the bulk of what I think NIL can be used, right? There's not too many top 1 to 5% kids anyway, right? So for the majority of kids, if you can learn how to partner with a company, right? A lawn service company. Hey, I'll tweet you guys out 3 times a
man.
Week.
Hey, I'm sitting here at Joe's barbershop getting my frizz cut, man. Y'all need to come down to Joe's. Joe will hook you up. Come down here and tell him Dan LaForest sent you. Get 10% off your first cut.
Come down to Dan's barbecue, man. You come get a brisket, 10% off, man. Come on, you get 2 or 3 of those. You start learning early on, right? That's right. Maybe I could have focused my question more on that, not more for the people that's listening of financial stability, right? But more of getting into that space and learning business etiquette, like I said. So,
yeah, brands don't magically appear. You have to build them.
No, for sure.
And I think it's a great way to do that. Then you understand, what to do with money. I mean, we have seen NFL players, we've seen professional athletes blow through money, right?
Yeah.
Because they had nothing, and all of a sudden they get 30 million dropped on their lap.
Right.
NIL in college is an opportunity to learn how to manage that kind of thing, because the reality is you got a lot of guys getting NIL deals from collectives, and that's a whole nother discussion, right?
Yes, sir.
That probably ain't playing in the NFL.
For sure. I seen kids pushing $4
million. If you're making $300,000 at the university and you don't go to the NFL, your marketing degree is going to get you a job starting at $60,000 a year.
Yeah. That's a fact.
Okay.
That's how it works in the real world.
And you married your college sweetheart, and you've got 3 kids. So please tell me.
Don't be too real with them, man.
That might play into your future.
Don't be too real with them. Let me ask you. We talked a little bit about it, Dan, but man, what's kind of the biggest piece of advice you can give to a student athlete, not in the 5%, not in the 1%, to kind of just start exploring NIL opportunities? We mentioned the Dan LaForest barbecue. We mentioned going down to your local barbershop. But, how can they use these right away to benefit themselves and build some future opportunities like we talk about?
I think the first thing you have to do is be true to yourself. Who are you? What do you believe in? What are your core principles? You don't want to represent a product that you don't believe in. I think you have to take a look at what's around you. What shoes do I wear? What cologne do I wear? What types of products? Do I play video games? Start with things and talk about it. Get on social media and talk about what you like, what you don't like. I think that is the beginning of developing who you are as a brand. You start taking a look at, I loved watching Caleb Williams develop over the last few years, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Big time.
It was finally revealed once he left that he made $10 million over the last 2 years.
Yeah, he was in a penthouse, brother, in California.
But the reality is he won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, come on now. That's the 1%.
Everybody in the country knew who he was.
Yeah, no,
and
that's brand.
That's how he got the deals with Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Oh, Dr.
Wendy's.
Wow. Wendy's.
But he was that guy.
Yeah, man.
You've got all these different athletes. Listen, we can sit here and talk about the NFL all day long. There is no atmosphere like college football.
None. We can have a college football show, guys.
There are no NFL stadiums that hold 110,000 people.
I'm a huge college football head for sure.
They don't have alumni bases that are in the millions.
We talked about those Notre Dame and Michigan earlier, man.
People love college football, and that is the difference. You look at what Coach Prime has done at Colorado.
Yeah.
His sons are successful primarily because their last name is Sanders. Okay?
For sure. Yeah.
But what their dad was at Florida State was the original NIL. I mean, he was a marketing NIL. Right?
Dan said that's the original NIL.
Get into all these guys. You look at him, you look at Brian Bosworth. What would Brian would have made in endorsements? Now he's the sheriff on Dr. Pepper, right? That's his retirement play.
That's his retirement.
How many jerseys would Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel would have sold?
Oh, man.
Where that 15% comes back to them.
Yeah.
Again, I think what NIL does is it first of all, the NCAA and the universities have made millions and billions of dollars off of student athletes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's all right, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And now they're having that opportunity to profit off of their stardom because, look, guys, let's be real. There's a lot of money coming into these colleges.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. So, Dan, really quick, check your phone really quick because we got our guest coming on. We got Devin Jackson coming on. He was in the background, but he'll be hopping on here in a second because we've been talking about NIL at the high school level. Wrap us up real quick before Devin gets on. What's kind of the difference? Is it similar for a college athlete? We're not talking about the 1%, guys. We're not talking about the 5%. But we're talking about a Vanderbilt quarterback, right? Who's balling right now. His name's blowing up a little bit. How does a kid, like, if you guys watch college football, you know that name, right? After taking down the Crimson Tide. But how does a kid like that maybe navigate it? What does he do? Does he contact the influencers council? Like, what should that kid do?
Well, I think they should contact somebody, right? They should get guidance on what they do, and you know, again, you've got contracts involved. You'd have to have somebody that can look over that. You have to understand what to do with the money. What's the proper way to do it? What keeps you out of trouble with the taxes and everything?
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to talk about, and it would be an hour show. I know we got a couple great student athletes we're going to interview here.
Yes, sir.
You know, we can go ahead and I've got one of them texting me now.
Yes, sir.
I told one of them to pop on here, but no, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and that's the thing that wasn't available.
No, man. Peter Ward would have ate it up, man. There's so many
guys
back then.
There's so many guys. And there's so many guys that are eating it up now. And I say good for them. Yeah. I say good.
Good for them. Good for the student athlete, man. When college coaches being able to move around like I seen growing up, right? Yeah. Student athlete, even with transfer portal open. What's your thoughts on transfer portal since I got you here, right? And we're waiting on Devin.
I think we're seeing the results this season.
Yeah. It's kind of good and bad. We see Florida State flopping out. The Mark Norvell not recruiting high school athletes.
Listen, again, I think you have to understand that this is new to the colleges. They don't have.
You're right, brother. You're right.
They don't have scouts out there. They don't have. I mean, even though they got a staff of 40 people now, you know, you've got to evaluate talent. You have to evaluate payroll. The way this is going with the NCAA is if the universities now, if this gets approved in the spring, universities will now have up to $22 million they can fund athletics. Okay. You know, how do you take that payroll? How do you break it out? What role do collectives play? A lot of people have opinions, but we don't know till we know.
For sure, right? For sure.
And you know, you just saw the University of Alabama hired a general manager. They're paying him $800,000 to manage everything. So I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a lot of different things pop in.
That's a sweet deal. All right, guys, really quick. We're waiting on our couple guests right now. So I wish my guy, hey, if y'all watch Dan's show, man, y'all know my boy got the commercial break, man. It's coming. It's coming. I promise you guys. But for things like this, right, we'll have a commercial break. If you want to, Dan, I can pull up, if Devin's coming on here, I'll pull up his film really quick and kind of let it play in the background, let people get eyes on him. He's 2026 DB, Florida commit, the real deal, right?
We can go ahead and evaluate him.
Yeah, I kind of compared him to a kid similarly that plays that safety position and was a dog in Jordan Castell that's at Florida right now. But Devin Jackson, man, as a 2026 prospect with another year to progress, sky's the limit. Let's pull up his film right now. Really quick. Okay. There we go. Oh, here we go. All right, guys. Look at this. Let's go, Dan. Hey, now Dan's a magician with this breakdown. Y'all listen to this, right?
Now, listen, you take a look at it.
Because he was ready to go.
First of all, he's 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", so he's got the length, right? You watch him. Look at this interception right here. He's got the length.
Yeah, man.
To make that play from that safety position.
IQ. Yeah.
He's got the speed. He's got great instincts back there. I've seen him play a couple times this year, and I love his flow. Like, watch this. Stop and go. Sets up his block.
Look at that. Don't sleep on his special teams ability. He's a playmaker, right? He's not just a defensive back. That guy's a special teams athlete, right? He's elite back there. with the ball.
No, he is. He's got a great pick right here. Good instincts.
Look at
again.
that. Look at that
Keep
play
his
on the
feet in
ball.
bounds.
Let me go back to that really quick, Dan. Look how he sits in his base, reads it, flips his hips, attacks it, closes the distance. Come on, man.
Yeah, and you've got him right here in the middle.
Right. Look at this play, Dan.
Free. This is against Edgewater here,
Boom.
and that's Carter Emmanuel. Again, the kid can hit.
Look at this,
that's
guys.
the other aspect you want out of a safety is you want somebody who's not afraid to stick his nose in, and we see that in Devin.
Oh, for sure. He's leading First Academy in tackles right now.
Yeah, which is not necessarily good when your safety's leading you in tackles.
Yeah, but hey, shout out TFA. They are 7-1 district champs. Look at that. Let me go back to that. Let's go back to this. Creating turnovers for one. Let's watch this play, guys.
So they've actually got him playing a little bit of, inside there.
Corner. Yep. Look at that.
Great defensive
playmaker.
Coaches there too.
What you got, Dan? What you got on Devin Jackson, brother? You've been watching him now for a couple of years, especially I've seen him training with Coach Ron Lindsay.
I think you nailed it earlier. I think he is that guy that is doing all the right things his junior year. It's really how is he setting himself up for his senior year, and what happens in the offseason during development. There's such a big gap between your junior and senior year from a development standpoint. Not only are you going to gain weight, you're going to get additional training in the offseason. 7-on-7s become such a big element of development, not necessarily, listen, you're not going to get a scholarship from 7-on-7, but just the reputation, especially if you're a receiver, defensive back, quarterback, you're getting that repetition. You're starting to see a lot of the linebackers involved now with 7-on-7. So it's essentially that skeleton drill that you see, no linemen. And even the linemen have their own 5-on-5 competitions now. So, and again, you get guys that are competing against each other. That's what you really want. You want to be in that competitive environment. And you don't necessarily get that on your high school team in a lot of cases.
No, for sure. I like him. I've been watching him for a couple of years too. He's a dog. And really quick, while we can, I want to bring up, hey, you heard him earlier. He's an Apokpa alum, right? And I was talking to Dan earlier. He started naming legends, right? That I didn't even know went to Apokpa. We got another gem right here. He showed me this kid. I didn't even know who this kid was, but he pulled up to our PRZ camp in the offseason. Me and Blue was out there, and we were like, man, who the hell is this guy, right? This kid's a grown man. But then we learned he's a 2026 kid. At the time, he was a sophomore. We were like, oh, my goodness. But let's pull up Kingston Shaw's highlights right here. He has a family too, right? Definitely a good family, a good backing behind him. So the sky's the limit for him too. So let's pull up his highlights a little bit. Let's see what we're working with. All right, guys. Hold on. Let me slow it down. Okay, really quick. He's on this right side right here, guys. 6'4", over 230 pounds. I think he's pushing 240.
Yeah, he's sitting right about 225 right now. Great instinct, great jump off the edge. And again, this is a kid who hasn't played defensive end. He was sitting at linebacker last year as a sophomore. This is, again, another 2026 kid that has a whole offseason to develop, already starting to get a lot of P4 offers. And, I think he is that. 3-star
already, right? 3-star.
He's a 3-star right now. And again, he just moved his position. So he's kind of starting over a lot from his recruiting standpoint.
Yeah. So he got sideline to sideline speed too, right? He can track some guys down if he needs to. So let's watch him. Boom. Fresh off the edge, hands.
Little slow getting off the edge there. I think the snap got him. He was getting set. But look at the finish, the wrap up, takedown.
Here we go. And at the end, watch at the end, Dan. Forced turnover. Here's another one. This one's more of a stay with it. This is more of a play your gap. Okay, stay outside, force them in. That's just two highlights I had right there.
Yeah, go back. I want to point out something here too. Right, he's taking on that block. He's got extension.
Look at his stand.
So he's actually in a stand, in a stood up position. Boom. They've got him here more of as a stand up rush in, but get your arms out. Get that tackle off of you.
Yep.
move him around so you can see.
Look at that. Boom. Separation.
He sees that quarterback. Now he's closing in. There you go.
Force that quarterback inside too, then let him get out, contain. Yes, sir. Two solid kids, man. Two solid kids. Apokpa isn't doing as well as they usually do, I've seen, but they still got some gems on both sides of the ball, as always, right? As always.
Yeah, Apokpa's been known for their defense as of late, right? You recently, you've got two players that are currently in the NFL, in Jalen Carter, Trey Hendrickson. You go back, it started with Aaron Jones, who was a first-round draft pick out of Eastern Kentucky by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, Warren Sapp, who's was a freshman at Apopka when I was there, wearing a gold jacket. Brandon Merriweather. I mean, you've had, I believe, 16 players out of Apopka that have played in the NFL. So you've got a great community there and a lot of history at the APK.
Yeah,
but
special.
No, listen, King's that next guy that I think that they're gonna see a lot of improvement and a lot of expectation, especially as he goes into his senior year.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna take a chill for just a minute or two here, and we're gonna try to let our guests come in. Do we have a picture about who's coming in first? Do we got King or maybe Devin coming in, or do we know it yet or not?
It's 7:40. They're supposed to be on.
Yeah, they should be on, guys. It's all good. We're making it work for y'all.
You got the pause button?
I got to, yeah. All right, brother, man. We kind of evaluated two kids now, Dan, that's kind of on your radar. But let me ask you, brother, what kind of kids are you looking for? What kind of things are you looking for in a student athlete that kind of qualifies for the counselor team to get on you guys' radar?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because I think it's a number of things. There are a lot of different ways kids are looking at recruiting and what they're looking for in a school. I think the most important thing is high character. You want to work with young people that have a bigger picture of what they want. They want to play football at the next level, but what do they want to study? What is their objective outside of the sport, whether it be football or basketball or whatever that sport is. You have to take a look at, their background. What are the things that they're looking for in the recruiting process? If it's all about money, we can ask a lot of people that have worked professionally all their lives. If they chase money, that they're going to end up failing. You have to choose a school where you're looking at what's best for you. Are you looking at the education? Are you looking at the program, the coaching staff? Are you looking at it from a standpoint of it's not just they're making me feel good recruiting, but do I see myself in this program? Do I see myself in this city? Do I see myself getting on the field as soon as possible? And I think these are all things that are all relative because we don't know the answers. But I think it's got to be something other than money. And if you're going to talk about money, then they're probably not a good fit.
I hope you guys took notes on that. And Dan, I kind of mentioned the Vanderbilt kid earlier. Now on the other side, he's kind of blowing up, right? And I kind of asked you, how does he navigate blowing up his brand, right? Or capitalizing on this opportunity, right? But
the opportunity. And actually, Drew, what happened there was a miscommunication. There was all of a sudden it's out on social media that you can buy his merchandise. And he's like, I never approved that. And they're like, yes, you did. You signed the contract. So I think that's a miscommunication maybe with his management team or whether that was done through the university or we don't know what the situation is.
I'm glad you
but it was miscommunicated.
Yeah. That's why I got my guy on, right? But Dan, on the other side of the coin, right? We have the UNLV QB that didn't get his pay, was promised $100K to play. He ends up redshirting the rest of the season. What's your thoughts on that, brother? What's kind of going on with that situation?
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that trend where we're seeing student athletes redshirt themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's listen,
Okay.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we have to understand not the what's, but the whys. Why is that student athlete doing that?
Yeah.
And 99% of the time, we're going to see a story that nobody knows what's actually happening.
Yeah.
But again, it's a decision, just like whether or not to go in the portal. You know, I think that is such a scary place that kids don't realize, or student athletes don't realize, because if you go into that portal, you just burned your relationship. So you're not going back. And then I think the question that is looming is, are you going to get picked up on the other side?
Oh,
because only 40% of D1 athlete or FBS, especially in football, 40% are coming out of the portal, which means 60 just ended their career. And 60 are now paying for the rest of their education. So I think you better have a plan of understanding what that value is. I ask kids all the time, what's your value? Oh, I think I'm worth this. That's your first mistake. You don't determine your value, others do.
That's huge.
Okay? So when you understand what your value really is, now you have something to work with. But again, if you're looking at it from a money situation, the more you make, the more problems you're going to have. You've got to understand what your situation and what your objective is. If your objective is to go to the NFL, then you need to be in a program that is going to help you achieve that, not only mentally, but also physically, to get to that point. Money is a byproduct of success. And we're not just talking about student athletes now. We're talking about
life. You give me y'all life gems now, right?
Money is a byproduct of success. Success is defined by the ability to overcome failure.
Ooh, look at Dan. My boy got quotables for you guys. He's giving you guys financial, not advice, right? But financial gems. Just, hey, man, come on. Y'all got to appreciate my guy tonight, man. Dan, though, let me ask you, like I said, we talked about two athletes that's on you guys' radar. We talked a little bit of portal. We talked NIL. And we talked a little about recruitment, man. What's different with recruitment? Let's talk about recruitment. Let's wrap things up as we end the show. Like, what's different from recruitment for you coming from the NIL standpoint and just from kids looking to get to the next level?
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to understand is contracts are real, and contracts aren't enforceable unless you're 18 years old. So when you're signing a contract with the university, which is what it seems like that's the direction this thing's going to be going, is you're no longer going to be signing letters of intent in the future. It's going to be a direct contract with the university, which may outline exactly what your scholarship is and what your NIL package is. It's got to be reviewed. It's you have to understand the details. You know, you don't know what the back end or what the small print, which you may be giving away as a result of that. But the biggest change is the fact that prior to a few months ago, universities, programs could not talk about NIL prior to you getting on campus. That has changed. You can now do that. So if a school is talking about, hey, we're going to pay you $500,000 to come here, I want that in writing. I want that in writing because I have heard those stories where my son was told this, he got on campus, and it wasn't anything near what he was told. And again, what is recruiting? It is getting the guys you want on campus. I think that now there's a little bit more of a level playing field so that families know what they're dealing with. You know, you can't just receive a check. You know, how is it structured? These contracts lay all that stuff out. And I think it's got to be a very, very patient process to understand what that looks like.
Right. Okay, Dan, I had you on for some time, man. Guys that's watching live right now, we're going to have Devin Jackson and Kingston Shaw coming on tonight. They still possibly might, but I definitely wanted to have Dan on tonight to give you guys everything he has going on with NIL, his company with Influencer Counsel. I just want to have him on the show for sure to get his face on the show because I want him to be a reoccurring guest, right? This guy has a plethora amount of information. He's an OG in the game, and these are the type of people I surround myself with. He's trying to get a hold of this recruitment, which he has already, but he's trying to push for it a little bit more, man. So let's ask Dan this last question. What's the goal, man? What are you trying to do? Let the people know what they can find you and where they can find you at. And what do you want to do with Influencer Counsel, man? What's your goal coming up on the new year, right? This year is almost over. What's your goal coming up on the new year?
Yeah, first of all, you can find us at influencer-counsel.com. Also, you can find us on social media at Team Counsel on all social media platforms. I think that the way we put this together is just do it the right way. We want to be able to guide and counsel. That's the thing. That's the strong word here is we are the counsel, the legal counsel, the financial counsel, the philanthropy counsel, the branding counsel. We want to provide counsel to student athletes that are going to be high profile and give them the tools to succeed.
Man. All right, Dan. Like I said, big thanks to Dan LaForest, right? Definitely going to have him back on the show. He'll be back on next week. We'll have some big time guests for you guys, right? He has some in the pocket. That's an OG, right? He got some guests in the pocket for you guys. He had 2 tonight. They'll probably still show up. If not, we'll have them on for sure before the season ends. But Dan, tonight, NIL gyms and more, right? For the student athlete, hope you guys were taking some notes tonight. For you guys want to protect your brand, protect your future, right? Make sure you guys get a team that Dan mentioned tonight, right? Ron Bittman, one of the guys, attorney, right? This guy's attorney for big time names. If you go look at his bio, I was surprised, right? Dan's been doing it for a while, financial guy, right? That's what he does outside of this. And you heard the communication piece, right? Miss Shaw. Would love to hear from the Shaws, right? That's a good family right there. Kingston will be coming on. He's a good kid, man. Bright future for sure. So, yes, sir. So I appreciate my guy Dan hopping on the show tonight. Gave you guys some game on NIL and everything you need to know about that. Shouts out to his team over at Influencer Counsel. Like I said, they got some big signings on the horizon. So make sure y'all tapping in with my guy if y'all need any information about that. So, but we're gonna wrap up the show, man. Like I told you guys earlier, I got a true rising gem. You know what I mean? A monster off the edge playing for Apokpa High School right now. I was introduced to this kid by Dan. Like I said, man, he dominated at our PRZ camp this offseason. And now he's just blown up, like I told him, man. He's got Arkansas, Illinois, and Mississippi State. It's just the offers are coming in, right? But just excited to watch his development now as a 3-star prospect. Just talk some of his recruitment as well. So welcome to the show, everybody. Kingston Shaw.
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
Yes, sir. What's up, my boy? You know what I'm saying? We're glad to have you on the show, bro. You know what I mean? Like I said, big things popping off for you. You dominated at the camp, man. Like I said, me and Larry Bluestein got eyes on this kid. We were like, who is this, man? You know what I mean? But Dan came up to us and said, this guy's going to be a dog, right? He for sure ended up as an MVP. But making that transition over to the edge, man. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. Before we do, new guest on the show, young man. We got to start things off right. For those that don't know, you know what I mean? Let's talk about your background a little bit. I know it's some things about your parents' involvement from Dan. Their heavy involvement, right? But let's just talk about your football journey a little bit and how you got to this point, brother.
Yes, sir. Well, I started off when I was about 7, playing for the Raptors over there in AAU. So, I mean, I've been grinding since I was little. Yeah. Indeed, with the Apokpa and everything. But that was good. And then I've just been progressing through all the different Pop Warner, played at Apokpa Pop Warner. I played pretty much everything back then.
Yeah. That's how I be, right?
Yeah. But mainly edge, though. Yeah.
Okay. So that's it was prepping you that early on to come off that edge, huh?
Oh yeah, yes, sir. I've always been playing DN. Yeah,
let's talk about it, man. You had a big off season. You know what I mean? Playing at Apokpa, it's clear you're starting to come into your game, right? Dan mentioned to me earlier, this kid, this school has produced some talented dudes playing at the next level, man. Switching over to that defensive end position where you feel more comfortable where you belong, right? Or the key things you focused on during this offseason to get stronger and more dominant on the edge?
Well, of course. So I'm going to be training a lot with Coach Tank.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be training with him, putting in that work. Of course, keep my speed training up, putting on more muscle mass, keep on getting bigger, better, faster, and then work on my technique. And, I mean, I really feel like it's going to go to a different level.
What's your height and weight right now, King?
So I'm 6'4", 235 right now.
Ooh. So let's talk about that. Let me ask you though, before I pull up a couple of your highlights. Every great pass rusher, has their go-to move. What would you say is your best move when you're rushing the passer?
Well, I mean, with the transition from backer to edge, I'm still working on all my technique and my craft right now. But I mean, if you see in some of my film, I like a bull a little bit. Yeah. I've been using that.
He's strong, right? Let's look at it. Let's take a look. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, bet. Let me start it right. Let me start it right for y'all. All right, bet. Let's comes off that edge. Strong. Get straight to the quarterback. Watch the finish though. Boom.
Oh yeah.
Worst turnover. He likes that one. Hold on. Let's watch this. Let's watch this one real quick. Comes off that edge, does what he does, contains the quarterback, pushes him inside, finishes with the sack.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Let me bring back this. Let me bring back this first one really quick. You see your stance, you know what I mean? Okay. It's a little high, but that's all good, right?
A little high.
I've working on that technique. Yep. Here he comes.
Sir.
Yes. Dominant. What you like about that play, man?
Well, I really just
Let's watch it one more time.
Yeah, let's look at that.
He took that tackle and pushed the tackle into the quarterback.
Yes, sir. That's what I was shooting for originally.
And you started off late. Look how you started off a little bit late. You still got there before anybody.
Yeah, of course. That was.
Let's watch this last one, and I'll ask you some questions.
All right.
This was that contain when you forced the quarterback inside for that open that blitz up right there.
Yes,
and
sir.
Finish with the sack.
Yes, sir.
2 solid plays for my guy. You know what I mean? But let me ask him, with your size and athleticism, man, you're already standing out. You're showing some good bend, showing some good speed and strength. But for the college coaches watching, man, what do you think separates yourself from other edge rushers in your class?
Well, I really feel like this is my really first season in high school playing edge. So if I'm doing stuff like that now, just imagine when I start to develop what I'm going to be doing. And I mean, I have the speed, the size, coachable. So I feel like with all that together, I feel like that would be a really good combination to really be dominant at edge.
Yeah, good motor as well, coming from the outside linebacker position, being able to go sideline to sideline and being able to pass rush too. So he has the motor, has the strength, has the speed. Just got to work on that balance, takeoff, and the technique, right? The handwork. That comes with repetition. That's all. You know what I mean? That comes with repetition and practice. That'll come along. Still has another year of weight training and technique working with Tank. So that's going to be big time. So let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about Apokpa football really quick. Not the best year for Apokpa record-wise. That's, you know what I mean? That's okay. But you always want to finish strong, right? You always want to try to send the seniors out on a good note. But you know, as you continue to develop, what are some things? What are some goals? That you set for yourself heading into this season, and as you begin to wrap up your junior year.
Well, yes, sir. So, of course, we're about to go up to Madison County this week. So that's definitely going to be a game where it's going to be smash mouth football. Going to have to be real dominant because they run single wing. So there's going to be a little bit of me. Oh yeah. So I'm going to be off the edge, but then with single wing, you know how they have the receiver base close with their H's, right?
Right.
With single wing.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Can you
hear
football.
Me? Can you hear me?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. My bad. You were breaking up for a second.
No, that's my bad. My bad. No, I'm here, buddy.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
You know what I'm talking about by that, right?
No, yeah, you already know. Yeah, I know my formations for sure.
So I'm going to be lined up actually at Samsung and coming and setting the edge and crashing down and blowing stuff up on that. So I'm excited for that too.
Okay.
But
that's what I'm saying.
Just overall,
you're versatile, bro. They can move you around when they need you to, right? Like they can move you around whenever they need you to, right? Okay. Oh,
yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's talk about that versatility for people watching, man. Like, do you like being able to move around, or is that, you know what I mean? Like, Go ahead,
sir.
talk about it.
Definitely. I love moving around, especially like if one play they want to like drop me back to linebacker and go into coverage, maybe blitz some, then come down and edge rush. I mean, I just feel like that part of the game is so fun to do that because, I mean, they don't know what to expect, and you can dominate on so many different levels.
Man, I mean, really quick, and we're talking about Apokpa football. You know, I had Dan on earlier, alumni. He mentioned some of the, the GOATs y'all had, that alumni, right, from Apokpa High School, Warren Sapp being one of them. You know, let's talk about it. How does it feel playing for that coaching staff and representing a program like that, man?
Well, I mean, it's really a legacy that you're representing. I mean, so many greats wore that name on their chest, and I just feel like them coming through the program, I can be the next.
Ooh. I like that.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
let me ask. I gotta ask. I mentioned some of the schools that offered you a little bit earlier this year, in Arkansas, Illinois, Mississippi State. But are there any other offers that I haven't mentioned? And then who are some of the schools reaching out to you, brother?
So, of course, those are some of the offers right now. But then I've been in contact with a lot of different schools. I mean,
Okay.
Maryland, West Virginia, Iowa State, some of those guys. And I feel like after this season, with me having more film at edge, it's going to start to blow up a little more. But then just like once I get that technique and everything, then it's really skyrocket, I feel.
Yeah. It's going to be a huge off season for King, right? It's going to be a huge off season for sure. But he's already a dog, and that's what it takes to get to the next level. But let's have some fun really quick, man. I asked him a few questions, but let's do a little Drew's Fast Five. I got 5 quick questions for you, and you just answer them as quick as you can, man. Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
All right. First one, favorite football player of all time.
Ooh, Ray Lewis. I love that swagger that he comes out with, and I love him dominating all the way around.
Hey, Ray, that's our first Ray Lewis, right? You know what I mean? We got an edge rusher, so it's only right. A dog, he trying to smash somebody, man. Hit stick.
Yes, sir.
For my Madden players. All right, so favorite pregame song.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Ooh.
Favorite pregame song.
What's getting you lit? You know what I mean? When you got a big game, you know,
one.
might be a rival game.
Maybe some like J-Dot, Young Boy, Baby Kid, something like that.
Yeah, you trying to get in the mindset.
Trying to get in that mode.
Yeah, that mode, right? All right, bet.
Yes,
All right. Favorite post-game meal.
Ooh, favorite post-game meal. I always have to say some wings. Get some garlic
wings.
Parmesan wings.
Knock those down.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah.
That's a bet. You got a favorite restaurant, you know what I mean? Or is mom's cooking them up? Like, you know what I mean? Well, what is it?
Shoot, I mean, mom's cook is amazing, but then like wings wise, we got Froggers. Those wings are good.
Okay.
Right down the street.
So that's your go-to spot?
I mean, that's the closest place, and that's where everybody be going, and their wings are great. So
that's the spot to go in the pocket. People be getting lit, getting the wings.
Yes,
all right, let me ask you this, King. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Super speed.
Super speed. He want to come out that edge, right?
Oh yeah. Don't know what hit him.
Speed rusher, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Best attribute on the field.
I just say the raw intensity I can bring.
Ooh, raw intensity, man. I like that, man. I like that. All right. Hey, as a 2026 prospect, this kid, like you said, still has another year of training, still has another year to put on some weight, get that, you know what I'm saying, get those reps in. That's what it comes to, man. You know, so that's what it's going to come down to. But I want you guys to remember this name, right? But before I have him get off, I want him to give some appreciation to the ones that, you know, supported him on the way. I mentioned his parents earlier. They definitely support him a lot. So let's give some thanks to the people that support you on the way on your journey, brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I really appreciate my parents, like everything. They've always been there since I was little. Yeah. My dad started coaching me like right away when I was 7. I remember him coaching me those AAU practices on the field. I just all around. I'm blessed to have such amazing parents that advocate for me, that are going to be there for me no matter what, constantly making sure I'm in the best position. And it's just such a blessing to have my mom and dad like that.
Yeah. And for the people watching, man, do you got any visits set up maybe for the off season or for the end of the year?
Yeah, definitely. So actually, coming up in November, I'll be at the Illinois versus Michigan State game.
Whoa.
And then on top of that, I should be at the U.S. Army Bowl National Combine coming up in December.
Okay. You gotta like what Illinois got going on, right? So that's got to be what's up. If that's you up, you know what I mean? That game's gonna be lit. They're gonna roll the red carpet out, so I'm sure you're gonna enjoy that for sure.
Oh yeah, and gonna get a nice feel of the cold too, because it's gonna be in November.
How do you feel about that, man? I know that Florida can get a little cold, but it don't get cold like that, bro. You know what I mean? You
what
mind
was
playing
that?
out of state?
Couple weeks ago, walked outside. It was about 50. It's feeling a little
Yeah,
cold.
that's what I'm saying. Like it can get a little nippy for Florida people, right? It can get a little nippy. But Illinois, dog, it's blizzard. It can get real cold, right? Chicago up
Yes,
there
sir.
in Chicago. So, but let me
But it's
ask,
definitely a good experience.
do you mind playing out of state, or is it like, would you mind staying near the crib for your parents, or like, how do you feel about that when you go about recruiting? I know you're still young, but just trying to pick your brain a little bit.
I mean, sure. Like being in state, that would be cool. But like, I mean, whatever God's will is, wherever He sees fit for me to be, if it's out of state, if it's in state, it's all up to God at that point.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey, King, man. I appreciate you, man, for giving me your time tonight. Dan, like I said, thanks for Dan for introducing me to this kid. But just to watch his journey and this transition, 3-star prospect, right? Like I mentioned. So John Garcia definitely seen something in this kid as well. So shouts out to him. Thank you for coming on, bro. But it's a big future ahead. Like I said, I want to have you back on the show because we're gonna give y'all another update of what he has going on. But I wanted to introduce him to y'all on the show and kind of help him with some exposure, right? He's dominating already. He's getting these offers in. I'm trying to help where I can, right? So thank you for hopping on tonight, brother. Just let everybody know where they can find you at, bro. On your social media.
So my IG is Kingston Rains Shaw. Wait, sorry, my bad. Kingston Rains underscore 15. So KINGSTON REIGNS underscore 15. And my Twitter is Kingston Shaw 15.
Hey, man, that's Kingston Shaw, 2026 DN out of Apokpa High School. Appreciate you for hopping on tonight, brother. Big future ahead, right? So we'll definitely have you back on, bro. Thank you for hopping on for sure.
Sir, sounds good. All right, thank you.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Hey, that's Kingston Shaw, man. Well-spoken kid. Like I said, his family's very involved, so he'll have a bright future. Dan talks about this kid, talks him up, so I'm thankful for him to come on the show. He'll be a Power 5 kid for sure. But thank y'all for joining us tonight. Thanks for Dan for coming on tonight. Give you guys an NIL game, and King dropped some information for you guys too. Glad to interview him and have him on. So make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to the channel and sharing the videos, man. I really appreciate the ones that have. Peace.